Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Finally, senior citizen here, greeting his boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day where I wish I could have a radically different view each and every time, but there's just not good lighting in here. And I tried to aim it, and without this bright as the sunlight, it's just so dark. It's dark enough as it is. Thumbs up, and hopefully you have had a very, very good day. I have a couple, well, one thing really written down up there on this list, but I do want to talk about this first, which is actually on the list, but I'm going to pretend it's not. I've wanted to talk about constant comment tea and Earl Grey tea. I like Earl Grey because it has bergamot. And bergamot is a citrus orange family, but not an orange type of fruit. And it's really cool, the essence and the oil of bergamot in with black tea. And so I took a look at the back of this because I got one that's called English breakfast tea. And it's just black tea. And black tea by itself is okay. Nothing special, but I like a little something something to go with it. And constant comment tea, when I took a look at this, it says this is decaffeinated, yes, but it's rind of oranges with sweet spice and natural flavor. Well, once I saw the oranges part, I had to get it. And itchy, 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 itchy. And glad I did, because the sweet spice and all that, they have cloves and such in it. And hokey smokes, it smells good and it tastes good. I really like it. So bergamot, good. Orange rind and cloves, good. Black tea is good as well. But, you know, it's if you like flavor, then all that extra stuff is good. And I largely eat for flavor, because if I didn't have to eat, I wouldn't. So thumbs up for that. Which at the same time, I do have a very common human problem. I eat when I'm bored because I want flavor because I'm bored, which doesn't help. Oh, and I've packed on the pounds because I have had to, because of my heel, bone spurs, that's the word I was looking for. The bone spurs in my heel, I've had a lot more enforced immobility. Were days where I was not even able to get out of here and go walking any more than here to my community center or here to Walmart and back. So, with all of the, even with minimal food, that's a lot less calorie expenditure. So I have put on weight. But luckily, I've been able to go out and exercise a lot more. Last night, I went for like a 3.5-4 mile walk. And I'm going to be doing a lot more of that again. So that's good exercise. Now, one of the things that happened just this morning, I was reaching down to get something off the floor. And my hip joints, well, not really the hip joints, my outer skeletal muscles hurt. And my knees hurt. And I went, you know what? You know what? You know what happens to your joints when you don't use them? They get tight and they hurt. I haven't been able to go out and exercise and use my joints as much as I used to. So I did some squats. Not deep, because I have lost a lot of mobility, and I have got a bit of whisker right on my nose. Right on my nose. Right up here that is itching, because it's getting scratched by a whisker. A whisker is scratching my nose, so it itches. That was hard to say. Now, what was I talking about? Exercise. So I was doing squats today, which is I went down and held it for a count of 10 and then came back up, and I did 10 of those. So, by the time I was done, I was burning. Now, the good thing about this is when you exercise, when you tear your muscle and your body has to build it back up, there are these helper cells that what they do is they latch onto damaged cells, like for muscle, and they not only help it heal, but they give it their nucleus. And each nucleus that a cell picks up helps it run more efficiently. So your muscle cells pick up a lot more of these regular cell nuclei just by working. And they have discovered that even when you let your muscles go slack, if you've come up to here and then come back down to here, it is easier to go back up because of all those extra nuclei than it is to build yourself up here from scratch. So if you've lost it, it ain't that hard to build it back up. It takes work. That's why I'm doing squats, and I'm going to be doing a couple of them each and every day, trying to work myself deeper and such so that I can get deep squats so I can get my mobility back. Because I picked up on the outside of my hip, which means it's not your hip, it's skeletal muscles. If you've got problems with your hip joint, it's on the inside, up high in your groin. If it's on the outside of your body, that's just skeletal muscles. So I have on my right side, because I had to limp, I have a major pain trying to, like, say, lift up my right foot and cross my legs. That is, oh! And that just screams on the outside, those medial, lateral. My lateral skeletal muscles locked up there. Yeah, when I was going like this, medial is toward the middle of your body, and lateral is going outward from your body. So if you're talking about, I have on your medial right leg, that's it's on the inside. Whereas if it's on the lateral, it's on the outside of the leg. So you can identify it that way. Yay, as well as superior and inferior. One of the irritating things when I was going through the LPN class ages ago is they talk about how English is so imprecise. What does up? What does below? What does up mean? What does below mean? What does to the side mean? So that's why we use Latin for all of this, with inferior and superior. Well, inferior and superior, and lateral and medial. And then they go and put it on a fixed frame of reference. Well, if you're on a fixed frame of reference, it doesn't matter what language you're using. Above on a fixed frame of reference, reference means above. As long as you say above means this direction on a fixed frame of reference, that's what it means. Putting it in Latin doesn't make it any more precise. It just is the guild's secret language to keep non-guild members from really knowing what's being talked about. So, thumbs up on that. Anyway, that's just my ranting. What else do I have up here? One of the things was, there is a guy called Josh Hayes. He goes by Josh Strife Hayes. And he is now ridiculously swole from his gym work and such. He used to teach martial arts and the like. He's been an actor, still acts, I believe, and does a lot of streaming and just video captures and videos. And what he does now, he decided to set up his treadmill. So as he's streaming at his keyboard with his mouse, he's also having to walk constantly forward on his treadmill so that he can continue exercising. And as a British fellow, the last video I saw of his, he was saying, he's incredibly, incredibly white. You know, it's like it looks like he's wearing a vest and a white shirt with long sleeves, but no, he was just wearing a vest. That was his skin and his natural British whiteness. Thumbs up. But yeah, using a treadmill, having to constantly walk as you stream. That would be something. That would be something. And you know he's doing it. He's not faking it because he's got a camera off to the side showing him walking forward as he's talking. So that's something. Is there anything else I have up here that's even halfway about real life? I did kind of sleep last night, and that's good. I'm very glad. And of course, if you've come along with me on this journey of exploration, because I'm just talking about my life, because it is habit and routine being important to me. And after the death of my wife, I needed something to hook on to. And this was what I hooked on to, got me out of my head and kept me alive. And now, as a pillar of my mental stability, I continue to vlog and talk. Thank you very much for coming along with me. If you have watched and listened this far, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. The only real other thing I have left to talk about today is just, again, with the creative stuff, a lot of what I have to do, because I can't really do a lot of writing because it takes a lot of effort to push through executive dysfunction to do so. Plus, you need to have actual energy to write, and frequently I just don't have enough energy to do so. But I have at least enough energy to remember the stuff that I've been thinking about, and enough energy I can talk about it, even if I can't write about it. And today, well, with Chat GPT and all the other AI stuff out there, you know, it was hard to get published before, but now with just the AI slop that's outnumbering human artists now, it's even harder to get noticed. So, yay on that. But I wanted to talk a bit about cryptids, my cryptids again, in my inside outside Razor's Edge multiverse cosmic horror setting. Because, as a quick reminder, I posit that there is two types of energy in our world, roughly and broadly: regular normal energy and cryptid energy. And cryptid energy, of course, forms cryptid matter, and cryptid beings and all cryptid life are formed from this cryptid energy. And generally, because cryptid energy is not the same as normal energy, and our senses, our bodies, our realities are set up to interact with normal reality, when we come up against something like cryptid energy, cryptid matter, our bodies, our realities, our senses are not set up to see them, to interact with them. It's like they are, our visible light spectrum is a tiny, tiny little sliver. And if something only reflected in this range or this range, how would we know that they were there? As a rough view. And so it is this way. Because there is no handshake protocol, we have no real common meeting ground. So they live in a world where they can see and interact with us but have no real interest in doing so. And we live in a world where they're all around us, but we cannot see or interact with them. Now, generally, they have no interest in interacting with us, though some do. The vast majority of them live as their ancestors have lived for the past 300,000 years, which is little better than animals. They just sleep wherever they happen to be. They eat whatever they happen to find, drink whatever they happen to drink. They aren't all that picky about their bathroom habits. They are clean. But there's, like animals, they just find a nice area to do their business and do so. Luckily, there are a lot of cryptid recycling beings, you know, the equivalent of cryptid insects, cryptid bacteria and such, that quickly takes care of such things so it's not horrific and nightmarish in that fashion. You take care of business, and then that business is taken care of. But they live all around and just eat and sleep and live and don't do much that we would consider useful, because they don't have jobs, they just live. But a good 98% of them, well, there's the light cryptids, the dark cryptids, most of them don't eat human beings, but of those that do, 98% of those do so only because of a dietary imperfection, where they're not getting what they need out of just absorbing the ambient energy around them. They need to supplement that with human meat, or they will literally starve to death. And since they're not human, they don't really feel anything big about consuming human meat. Of course, they are unable to see and feel a lot of the connections that we make. Now, what I wanted to really talk about this, of course, is it's all frame of reference, because from the frame of reference of the victim pool, of course, they are nightmarish creatures. But from the wow, that was not English. From the reference frame outside of the victim pool, they are not evil. They are merely doing what they have to do, any more than an alligator is evil for eating a zebra. From the zebra's point of view, yeah, I bet they do think the alligator's evil. But from the alligator's point of view, or even from the viewpoint of the ecological area as a whole, yeah, the alligator is certainly not evil. But from the zebra's point of view, it sure seems like it. And then, of course, there are the cryptids that are mentally ill, and there are a fair number of those. Some of them are ill by archetype. We would label them as ill, like there is a Lynn Tanner, who is of the archetype of urban legend serial killer. That's certainly not a pleasant sort of archetype. And when Lynn has the urge to go to work, well, depending on the type of urban legend you are, you can either leave just a few corpses, a hill of corpses, or a mountain of corpses. And Lynn is more the mountain of corpses kind of serial killer. Not by choice, any more than I chose to be born with skin of this color. He is that kind of cryptid, that's the word, and if he does not do what he needs to do as the type of cryptid he is, when he needs to do it, he will suffer. You have to act within your nature. And while acting within your nature is seen as a cultural thing, there is a genetic imperative, either very strong or very weak, depending on the cryptid, but there is a genetic imperative to act within your nature. And Lynn, when he starts getting itchy, knows that he needs to take care of what needs to be taken care of. And he heads out to do what he has to do. But a lot of other cryptids are not of that type. Most of them are happy and friendly, though there are, as stated, the actual ill ones, where through chromosomes or chromosomal damage or genetic damage, they do come up damaged up here. And they either hate or need to kill, or some other damaged part of their brain forces them to do what they do. Unfortunately, with cryptids, 98% of mental illness of this type is not something that can be treated in any way, shape, or form. Some can, where talk therapy and, well, medication doesn't work because their livers are so powerful. But talk therapy and hypnotherapy can help. But most of the cryptids that are damaged in this fashion are untreatable, and they will do what they have to do, which is very vile things because of what is being pushed upon them by the damage that they have. But most will gladly and happily just not interact with human beings in the slightest. And how would you tell a human being that the cryptid world even existed? Because there's no way for normal human senses to interact with the cryptid world. You couldn't take pictures to show. They wouldn't be able to see. And by they, I'm speaking they in the fictional world, otherwise I'd say us. But they wouldn't be able to see. You couldn't trot out a cryptid to show them. They wouldn't be able to see. They wouldn't be able to keep their attention upon even you who had dragged the cryptid out there for them to look at. There's no way to prove to someone without any cryptid senses that the cryptids exist. Which makes it rough for somebody who does manage to come across the cryptid world and isn't thrilled about it and wants to warn people. But how? And of course, taking a look at the time call to action. If you could like, comment, share, subscribe, that'd be very cool. And if you're a patron, thumbs up and thank you. You are beautiful and awesome. Greatly appreciated. When you look in the mirror, realize you're looking at someone who is beautiful and awesome physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And if you've left me a comment, you too are beautiful and awesome in your own way. I read as many comments as YouTube shows me. I thumbs up and heart every comment that YouTube allows. And I answer as many comments as my nerve compression will let me, which is not as many as I would like, but it's better than zero. So thumbs up on that. And I'm going to edit, render, upload, and I'm going to try and pay some bills. I'm going to do as much self-care as I can, mental and physical. And hopefully you can get done the things that you need to get done. And if you cannot, please do not beat yourself up. It will not help you get it done better next time, and you deserve better. So, well, shucks, you know what? If you have watched this far, if you could type constant comment into the comment section to let both me and the YouTube algorithm know that people actually watch these videos, that would be very cool. Very few people actually do so, but you know what? Nobody is required. So even if nobody at all did it, that's fine too. So if you do, thumbs up. Thank you. It is appreciated. And if you don't, that's fine too. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very, very good thing. So now to grab my... Oh, no. Oh, a bit of tissue paper on my mouse pad, and it looked like a bit of cracker. Wow, I am having trouble making my lips form actual words in English today. It looked like a bit of cracker crumb, because I eat crackers occasionally. So it just turned out to be a bit of tissue. Yay. Anyway, clicking on this so I can reach over to this so I can turn it all off. You take care.